It's that time yet again. Good evening on this lovely Sunday night here on YouTube, of course. Welcome to episode number 8 of 27 Outs. Of course, I am Ivan alongside Stefan. We're here, man. A month has already passed. Episode number 8. Shout out to everyone who has been rocking with us since day one, and even those who have came on board even after the fact, because listen, not everybody's gonna be here from day one, but we'll always appreciate everyone nonetheless.
Listen, if you've been here for the last month, you a day one. Like day ones, if the last month to me counts as a day one, so you good.
Yeah, and another thing I want to say too is you guys have been showing us a lot of love when we actually put out our videos. By the way, as we always mention on every show, make sure you follow us on Instagram at 27outs3c. And if you're new here and you're watching us live right now on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe, not only to be able to watch these shows, but of course, you could catch maybe a video that comes out maybe a couple days after the live show if you missed out on it. I mean, there's so many ways to catch our content if you can't catch it live. And that's why we're here for you guys.
Also, maybe we got some bonus content. You don't want to be.
Oh, that's true.
We got some bonus content coming for you at some point this week.
We did tell you guys. I know Stefan had said this before in the previous show that if you guys were to help us get to 80 subscribers, we would have another bonus video out for you guys. And yes, we're at 81 right now, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yep. So you guys have gotten us to that point, which means, like Stefan said, bonus content at some point this week. So you guys have us tonight, like you always do every Sunday night at 8. But you'll get us again at some point later this week for a segment. So the more, the better.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this bonus clip is going to be interesting to y'all because it's not like this is not your typical, clip that we do on these shows. So when you see what we pulling out the bag of triggers, I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So thank you guys, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you again. I mean, I know he said it, but I also got to say it myself because we look at some of the videos that we put out in addition to the live episodes, of course, and you guys show a lot of love to that. You got a couple of videos, over 100 views, I believe, and things are looking great. Shout out to you guys again.
Definitely, for sure. Let's jump into it, man. Let's jump into it.
So the Orioles, they finally did the damn thing, I should say. Like, there's really no other way to put it. The thing that they should have done, they finally did.
Yeah, they finally did it, and I'm so happy to see Jackson Holliday in the big leagues. Got his first base hit today, a single to right that was sharply hit. I think this kid's gonna be fine. I think when we got to remember, folks, he's 20 years old, bro. Let me ask you something. Crazy. True story. Sidebar, real quick. What were you doing at 20 years old?
20 years old, I was a year away from finally making that decision to go to college. But at the time, I think I was working like for a security company, I believe, which I hated, by the way. I was there for like 10 months and it ended up being hell for me. But at 20, I was nowhere. I mean, absolutely nowhere near where Jackson Holliday is right now for himself.
Yo, this dude's in the big leagues. And not for nothing, he doesn't listen. These pitchers are very good. They know what they're doing. Some of these guys have been around for a minute, but you can see he's working the count still. He's getting his at bat. He's seeing his pitches. He's not rushing the at bat. He may strike out or he may hit a hard grounder. It may not always yield the results he wants, but he's definitely he belongs in that box, if that makes sense. He belongs on the field. He doesn't feel like he's an outcast. Because when kids first come up, you see it like their first go around, they're like, oh, you don't belong up here yet. This kid belongs up here. The question for him is how fast do you start easing in? You know what I'm saying? How fast can you hit the ground running so that we can see what you can really do? And I think today was the first step, man. He hit a nice single to the right side. It was a well-struck baseball. and then now we can breathe. You know what I mean? All the jitters are out of the way. And you got to remember, he debuted at Fenway Park. That's not an easy place to debut. It's Fenway Park. You're in Boston. It's still a division rival. They still, you know what I mean? Like, we all, oh, he's debuting. He should hit the ground running. Nah, we debuting in Fenway. Like, when you debut at Fenway, Yankee Stadium, Dodger Stadium, I don't care how human you think you are. That's a different level of beast. So for him to get through that relatively, you know what I mean? Like, of course, he had a couple things that we're going to talk about here in a sec. But
right.
All in all, I think he was good.
Yeah, and if I were to put myself in his shoes quickly, listen, man, the start that he has gotten off to, Stephen, I know you mentioned it, that it did take him a few days to get his first major league hit. But listen, people, let's not forget what he did during spring training, man. I think it was in 15, 16 games, batted 300, OPS slightly over 900. Like, he showed you guys that he is more than ready. We've said it on the show before a couple weeks ago that he should have began the season on the major league roster, but teams are going to do whatever the hell they want at the end of the day. But yeah, I think he's going to be just fine. And listen, man, let's all be patient. Let's sit back and enjoy the show.
I think what I'm going to tell you guys is, I kind of love that there's this quiet confidence about the dude, and you kind of see, like, I belong here. Like, I was born to be here. Like, what tripped me out was they had a video montage of him, and he's playing catch with his father. For those that don't know, his dad is Matt Holliday, who played for the Rockies, the St. Louis Cardinals. I think he finished his career with the Yankees, but right. Matt Holliday was a hell of a player. Good and player. By all accounts, this kid Jackson is going to be better than his dad, which is a hell of a statement considering how good Matt Holliday was. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think
Matt Holliday actually believes it, Stephen, because I was watching some of the videos over the past few days regarding Jackson Holliday finally being called up, and I saw this one video of him on the field as a little kid with his dad. That was amazing too. But what I really want to say is there was this video I had seen where Matt Holliday said that he's no longer known as just Jackson Holliday. Like, Jackson Holliday isn't only known for being Matt Holliday's son now. It's Matt Holliday is now Jackson Holliday's father.
Yeah.
And I love that Matt Holliday put it that way, because going back to what you just said, Stephen, a few seconds ago, dude, we know how good his father was. His father was really, really good.
His father
For those of you who don't know, I mean, I know a lot of you guys who do watch the show are our age, but if you don't know about Matt Holliday, I advise you to go watch his YouTube highlights, and you'll get a better perspective or feel for who the guy was back when he played. But yeah, even his dad believes that his kid is going to be better than him. That says a lot.
That's a hell of a statement, considering Matt Holliday was one of them ones, man. When he was in Colorado, yeah, man. Even in St. Louis, I remember he helped them get to the series. I think in 2013, he was one of the main players on that team.
Right.
Him, Yachty, Matt Carpenter. Yeah, no. Matt Holliday was one of them ones. I think we forget how good that guy was.
Right.
And strong as an ox, bro. Have power to all fields. Could take one from Jersey to freaking.
Quiet confidence is the best description of Jackson Holliday. I'm glad he is finally in the majors. First hit today. He's got the skills. He's got the heart. And I think he'll do just fine. Yeah, we're pretty much all on the same page. And that's no surprise.
I agree with you. Here's another thing I want to point out real quick. You know what I like about the dude, too? He's unflappable, bro. They interviewed him after the game today. He was like, I'm just trying to do my job, help the boys out any way I can. And I'm just like, oh, you got that.
Already sounding like he's been here before.
Slow heartbeat. You know what it's going to take. You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And you're sandwiched between, Colton Cowser, Adley Rushman. Colton Cowser doesn't stop hitting, by the way. Somebody go, like, we all in love with Adley and all these other dudes. Somebody go get a Colton Cowser and be like, yo, all right, you one of the middle of the order dudes, because these dudes don't stop hitting.
Right.
It's amazing. I think I think I sent you guys a stat where he was like, he had 10 RBIs in his first 7 games. This guy's a machine, bro.
Ridiculous.
He's Colton.
I hate to jump ahead. I'm usually not the kind of guy who does this. And Stefan, you know this too, because we have certain conversations, and I'll tell you something along the lines of like, nah, I'm not thinking like that. Yeah, it's too early. But in this case, I just heard you mention a few guys who do play for the Baltimore Orioles alongside Jackson Holliday now. And I'm just thinking, man, I really hope the Orioles do win a World Series before all of these guys have to get paid. Because realistically speaking, at some point, we don't live in a perfect world. This is not a fairy tale. This eventually a couple of those guys will have to go their separate ways. But of course, too early to be talking about that. But the future is bright.
Definitely,
yes, it is.
Definitely. We're gonna end it like this. Jackson is the dude special, right? And I think he's gonna be one of the pillars. But think about this, guys. They got 4 shortstops they got 3 shortstops on that infield. That is bonkers between Gunnar Henderson, Jackson, and the Arias, who's playing shortstop for them now. That's 3 shortstops, bro. That's crazy. Yeah. You want to talk about range out there, where, bro. Craziness.
Baltimore has a great young team. They need one veteran guy that's been in the playoffs.
And we're gonna get to who that veteran could be. The veteran guy could be down the line. I don't think we don't need to talk about that right now. That's a great point by Razor. But shout out to this kid for living the dream. All he wanted to do was make the big leagues, and he finally made it. So shout out to you, Jackson Holliday. You're doing the damn thing. Go be great.
I can only imagine what it feels like to be in his position, getting called up, around just. Think about the times that we live in, right? You got social media, you got all types of people already aware of who you are, even people who don't really. I feel like there was a time when you sort of had to keep up with a sport in order to know who was up next. Whereas now, with social media literally being at our fingertips, right? You don't even have to be a fan of a dude, and you may know somebody's getting called up just because of the way information spreads these days. And listen, man, you think about that stuff, it's tough. It's tough. Honestly, if I were to get called up, I would not be surprised if I go like, for who knows what until I finally get my first hit.
I got you. You remember how it was for us back in the days, man, when I would tell y'all, yo, there's this kid coming out of in the infancy of before we knew how to get, and I would tell y'all, yo, there's 2 kids coming, because I live for Baseball America, prospects, and all that. This is my bag. I love this. You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to point something out. There's a tweet by Jeff Passan that he referenced something of like, yo, that has to be the best feeling in the world, to be able to be called up and know that you made it. You know what I mean? Know that you've done it. That's a crazy feeling to be 20 years old and like, yo, I made the big leagues, bro. And not only did I make it, but I'm good enough right now where if I get hot for like a 4-month stretch, I'm winning Rookie of the Year.
Right.
It's between him and Wyatt Langford. Like, those are the 2 guys for me that I'm like, oh, you guys are going to be, you know what I mean? Like, I think Wyatt's a little bit more advanced in terms of age. He went to college. He kind of got the experience. Like, but it wouldn't surprise me if Jackson came and snatched that thing with a month left and was like, this is mine now. You know what I'm saying?
And what I like for Wyatt, too, is he's got a lot of veteran guys around him. He's got a Corey Seager. He's got a Marcus Semien, like he's got guys who have been great hitters in baseball before. But listen, it would not surprise me by any means if Jackson Holliday is just crushing the damn thing.
Nah, not at all. And listen, you got to give the Orioles credit, because most teams would have said, listen, we want to keep you down here for a month. Now, they kept him down here for like 2 weeks. But there's a new rule that is being instituted where teams are now incentivized to give first-round picks to teams who call up their top prospects. There's this new rule in baseball where if you call up your number 1 prospect, you gain an additional first-round pick in the subsequent draft.
Wow.
So you're going to see teams start to do that in terms of their ability to gain subsequent draft picks in drafts for the future. This is why Jackson's up here. This is why I think you're going to see a lot more of these kids get not rushed, but if they're ready to come to the big leagues, they're going to come up here soon, which is why I think Paul Skeens, once they get him fully stretched out to become a starting pitcher, he's going to be able to, he's going to be up here soon because
Right.
the teams want to be able to incentivize that additional draft pick. So, yeah, I think that also helps things along, actually.
Right, right. And that goes back to my point too. At the end of the day, and like I said, Jackson Holliday was more than ready after the performance that he put on throughout spring training for the Orioles. And for the rest of the baseball world, right? Because I kind of feel like everyone had their eyes on him. And we've all been waiting for this moment for him, right? To finally get called up. But yeah, teams are always, listen, sometimes the numbers don't lie, right? And I would say that in Jackson Holliday's case, but a team is always going to find a way to, I guess, manipulate the system.
Definitely.
So therefore, it always works in their favor.
Definitely. Which is what they're doing in Oakland, real quick. Is what you talk about manipulating the system with this Ruiz kid that was hitting like 430, and they sent him down. And I think they did that because they said they wanted him to work on some things, but I also think that I believe they did it so that they gain an extra year, or they did something to the effect of like, they did it to make sure they gain an extra year control. I don't know if that's was purposely why that they did it, but it could make sense to me that that's part of their calculus as far as not paying somebody earlier than they have to.
Yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about, Stephen, because I remember when you shared something with us regarding exactly what you just said in the chat. And all of us know how bad the A's are. They barely even have a home. They're damn near homeless as a Major League Baseball team, right? But I'm like, listen, you guys finally have something positive going for you guys, and you guys want to diminish it.
No, it's
But
crazy.
again, going back to what Stephen said, teams are just finding ways for it to work in their favor. Where, all right, we are going to give the fans and baseball itself what they deserve. But at the same time, let me do this right quick, and then I'll get back to you in just a bit.
Definitely. That's exactly what it sounds like. Let me make this quick money move. Let me skimp off the top. You know what I mean? It's like the dude that like, yo, nah, I got your package right here.
Oh, running from the OPS. What is up, boys? Thoughts on Calza's blistering start?
We just gave our thoughts on his blistering start. This guy he's a machine. Listen, and I don't even care. The thing I love about that is he's another young boy. He's only what? How old's Colton? Google his age for me, Ivan, real quick. How old's Colton Cowser? I think he's 22. I could be wrong on that age though. He might be a little older.
He's 24. He is older.
24. He's an old. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
No, so he's probably, I would say mentally, physically, he's probably ready for the big leagues at this point because 24 is better than 20. But he just came out to see, I got the gate just giving it to dudes early on this year. So
right.
Shouts to them. But
by the way, before we get on to our next segment, I do want to say this. I've said it already, but now that the guy is finally up, he's finally on the Major League roster. It all makes sense now for me to say it again. And to pretty much stamp it, I am sticking to Jackson Holliday winning the American League Rookie of the Year. That's my pick.
He's gonna have to snatch it from my boy. You're gonna have to snatch it from my boy.
I hear you. Rick says also, I think Oakland did that because they wanted to have a losing record and didn't want that threatened by. Oh wow, that's another thing, man.
See, Razor, I would get into that but if I get into that whole thought process, we're gonna be here another 15 minutes, and I don't really have the mental bandwidth.
Well, here's the thing, though. Speaking of what Rick just said, we may at some point have a segment in the near future on the A's, and not only what they're dealing with right now, but also looking at what's next for them. You know, the A's have a lot going on behind the scenes, and they need to figure that stuff out.
Definitely.
All right, here we go. So topic number 2, no surprise, right? I don't think I'm surprised. Stefan, I don't think you're surprised. I don't even think this story does much for you. But I still, regardless of how you feel, I know you have a lot to say. And here it is. So Shohei Ohtani's former longtime interpreter surrendered to authorities and then later appeared in court. And yeah, it is his fault at the end of the day, right? What do you think?
Notice that sigh I gave, guys.
We're gonna start doing breathing exercises on the show.
Yep.
Breathe in, exhale through your mouth.
You know when they tell somebody woosah before they say some real disrespectful shit?
Yeah.
I'm as tired as the story as I'm tired. I'm tired of hearing about it. And the reason why I'm tired of hearing about it is because we're never really gonna find out the truth. Ipe Mizuhara was made to be the fall guy. If this makes you uncomfortable, then I don't know what to tell you. But in my opinion, I'm not stating that as fact. Let me be very clear because we don't know exactly what went down. But in Stephen Martinez's opinion, Ipe Mizuhara was made to be the fall guy so Ohtani can keep reaping the benefits of being that dude. And Major League Baseball made it possible so that Ohtani can basically go through this unscathed. Because if you notice, and this is not me stating opinions now, this is an actual fact. When we spoke about this topic when it originally first broke, my whole thought process was, Major League Baseball doesn't want this dude to be anywhere near this. They want to keep him as far away as possible because they want the golden goose to produce those golden eggs. At the end of the day, he's the golden goose. So what it's going to come down to is whether or not Major League Baseball is comfortable sweeping this under the rug, and it appears from the looks of things that they were. What do you think about that?
I'm going to say this, Stefan, and I've heard a few people say this even before we found out, this was going to happen, and even leading up to now that we all know that it was his fault, quote unquote. But I'm going to agree with the rest of those who have said this all along. I don't care how naive Ohtani wants to portray himself to be. I don't care how much he and his team want to say that he had no clue about what was being removed from his account. Right. I think Shohei Ohtani knew all along. And then we're talking about millions of dollars. I don't care how rich you are, Ohtani, because we get how much you make here in the States. And I can only imagine what you make back home at Japan. But listen, there's no way Ohtani didn't know that money was being removed from his account. I don't believe that. I don't care how close they want to say they were. I don't care for any of that. I truly don't.
Mm-hmm. So it's a difference to me when it's just even 4.5 million is a lot of money. For me and you, 4.5 is like $500. For him, 4.5 is the rounding error at the craps table. You know what I mean? 40 mil, my boy. 40.7 to be exact.
Right.
And you just telling us right now that you a victim? Nah, something about that.
Rick says Ohtani's not from the streets. He couldn't spot a snake even when he was sleeping in the same.
That something about that feels fishy.
Yeah.
Yo, my boy, we're not talking about 4.5, 5.5, even $10 million. My antennas would have been like, hold up, you took 10 mil from the boy? Nah. You come back and you see the numbers. I believe the number was he won 142 and lost like 183. Dog, you in the whole 40.5.
Yeah.
What is we talking about? Are we not talking about 40,000? Talking about $40.5 million. Yo, dog. Mm-hmm. I was sitting here in the crib and my first thought was like, how is this? How are you not buried under the jail? How is somebody not doing something to you so foul that I could understand if somebody ran up on you? You know what I'm saying? We're not advocating violence, but you talking about 40 mil. That's a different level of ball game, son.
It went from 4.5 to
To
16 to
16 to
40.
40.
And here's the thing now, right? We saw the
Yo,
number change a couple of times, but who's to say that 40 is actually
is where it stopped. It might be. It
exactly
might be. He might be at 100. And for all we know.
right.
And that's why. Ohtani playing the victim card feels. Now, keyword is feels, because we don't want to accuse him of being involved, because he was cleared. That's why it feels like, damn, you knew something, bro. You had to have known something.
You know what I don't get though?
Yo,
With Ohtani, okay. For those who think, and I'm gonna say I'm one of these. I and Stefan, if you agree, feel free to say it while I'm saying this. But for Ohtani, I believe Ohtani was a part of this. What does he say here? MLB covered this up. It would be great if a real investigation took place and found. Right. I agree.
So, but here's why, and I agree with you, Joe. We both agree with you, but here's the reality of the situation. We ain't talking about a dude that's just a regular baseball player. We ain't talking about a dude that's just, you know what I mean? We talking about a global phenomenon. This dude is like a god in Japan. He's a multi international superstar, dog. He's not just any random baseball player. Like, he's literally the game's golden. Like, this dude is literally Babe Ruth.
Right.
He's Babe Ruth, but in human form. Because when Babe Ruth played and you played against 7 teams, it was easy to beat Babe Ruth back then. This dude's being Babe Ruth against 30 teams, or all these dudes is on one and can literally do everything.
Right.
They can pitch, they can hit. This dude is literally a walk-in video game. You think baseball wanted to be like, sure, hey, we got to bring you to the principal's office, my boy. It's almost like when Mike retired, when he gambled, right? You remember? I don't know. You weren't even live for that story, but when Mike retired the first time, Michael Jordan, there was a rumor that he retired because of his gambling debt. And David Stern, instead of punishing Mike, was like, yo, go retire for about a year and a half. You know what I mean? Let it die down. And then when it's done, you can come back. Now that rumor hasn't been substantiated, just like this one hasn't been substantiated. But I can see where the dude automatically at 30 years old wants to play baseball when you've been dominating the NBA for damn near 10 years and you ever come to Jesus like, I want to play ball. Now, granted, his dad dying did play a part in that. So let's make that a part of the story. But Mike, you know what I mean? Mike had a gambling addiction too now. Let's not act like this is, this is brand new. We've seen athletes do this since the beginning of time.
Fed's covering it up because they got bigger fish to fry, aka Diddy.
And you might add Drizzy to the list next. They coming after the iddies.
I think Ohtani is the biggest star in all sports, at least in America.
I don't know if he's bigger than.
It's tough, man, because Messi and Ronaldo and LeBron James, they're different.
Now they different dudes. You know what I mean? And I can make the argument that Luka Doncic he's working his way up there too. Slovenia, America. That Luka's one of them ones. Like you stay up to watch Maverick games when he's on the West Coast because you don't know who he's going to skewer on the barbecue grill next.
Yeah, I definitely will say this about Ohtani, though. I think he's on that trajectory, I would say.
Nah, he's on that. Yeah, he's in that class.
He's on his way to the LeBrons, as I mentioned, the Messi, the Ronaldos, those kind of guys. Even the Jordans as well, especially if he continues to play at the level that he's been playing thus far. Forget about it. The other thing I wanted to say really quickly, too, before I forget. So I believe that it was indeed Ohtani who was gambling through his former interpreter. I believe he was doing that. My only thing is, if that is what was happening, and we'll never find that out. This is just my assumption, me including my 2 cents. If Ohtani genuinely wanted to gamble, why would he do it with literally his right-hand man who Major League Baseball is also on top of? Why wouldn't you want to go get somebody else, perhaps off the streets, or somebody who is really about this gambling life, who maybe you guys could have worked it out Maybe not in the long run, because that's not something that you want to be doing over the course of who knows how many years, but at least to get to the extent where, all right, I made my bread. And not that he's not making money, period. Because, like I said, he's making boatloads of money. The guy damn near signed for $1 billion with the Dodgers. But, dude, why'd you pick him? Why?
No, but that just goes to show you that dudes is out for self. Yo, you gonna have a nice little rack when you get home from doing this Fed time. We got about 30 million stashed in the offshore account for you somewhere. You straight. Do this 30 years of Fed time. Let me go break some more records, and I might turn a 30 piece into an 80 piece. Let me do what I gotta do. Dog, sit with this Fed time for a little bit, and we work on it. You know what I mean? Like,
and I think they said it was like a $25,000 bond. I'm sure Ohtani might have paid for that himself.
Shit, yo. Oh, you need 25 large? I got you, my boy. I got you. You know what I mean? But take this 5-6 million. Sit with this jail time for about between 15 and 30 years. Yo, that's crazy. Your man can get
do you think, let me ask you this, like aside from how we feel and what we thought was going to happen now that we're finally here, do you think this is the end, like literally the end of this story? Or you think there's more that's going to come out of this maybe years from now?
All right. So when 27 ounce is in its, I don't know, when we in the like 6th year doing this shit, or we in like the 7th or 8th year, and this dude's about to retire, that's when it's all about to pop off. He got to be retired a few years. He got to be out of the game. Yo, what I really wanted to say, because it wasn't sitting on my spirit, he gonna pull a J. Cole. It wasn't sitting on my spirit. I had to tell the truth. I've been retired for years. Yo, I gambled that bread. Come get me. Because you know what? They can't charge you with the same crime twice. So if they got your mans, I don't know if there's double jeopardy involved. Would that be considered double jeopardy, or is it a separate case?
Right.
That's the only question. Because if it's a separate case, then
that's a good point. But even if that would have happened, right? Let's say Shohei's like 60 or damn near 70-something years old, and I'm sure he's not gonna need the money. But let's say, I don't know, a Netflix or Hulu or one of these streaming services hit him up, and they're like, "Yo, let's give you this amount of money and sit down with us for like a docu-series, and let's walk us through walk us through what really happened."
That 30
I can see that happening.
That 30 for 30 about to be something different, dog.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely gonna be
what, yo, that not even the 30 for 30, but the Netflix jump off, yo, dog. What? That Netflix jump off about to be something magnifique, dog.
Yeah. This is something that would never, no matter how good Ohtani continues to be, no matter how many championships he may win with the Los Angeles Dodgers moving forward, this is something that is going to stick to his side for the rest of not only career, but life.
Word. Agreed. I agree with you. And he's the one that got to live with that. Like, he has to live with, he got to live with whatever the ramifications are. Because listen, at the end of the day, he's good. He's gonna make his money. He's gonna do what he gotta do. And at this point, he's fine with.
There's a part of me that suspects the MLB and the Dodgers knew about this before he signed with them. The contract structure adds to my suspicion.
That's a good. You know what? I haven't even thought about that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Right. Well, I definitely think. I mean, here's the thing, though, right? If the Dodgers knew, then I hate to bring back the Angels, but that means the Angels knew too, because this is stuff that he was already doing while he was with the Angels. I'm sure
everybody knew. Ohtani won't be charged with it. Oh, wow. So that's interesting. That's interesting that it would be considered double jeopardy. I mean, it wouldn't be considered double jeopardy. I think he would be charged.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. All I know is that baseball is fine. I think baseball is good with whatever the outcome is, just as long as he gets to keep playing games.
Of course.
I ultimately I think that that's what this boils down to, and I think they're fine with it. You know what I'm saying? I think they're fine with it. Um, and listen, this just goes to show you that if you have skills, you can get away with a lot more shit than the average person. And this is the prime example of that. And I think that's where we should end it right there.
Yeah, that's true. All right, before we get into our next segment, make sure you follow us on Instagram at 27 outs 3C. We're constantly updating that page. Shout out to you, Stefan. I mean, he is always breaking news there. I've said this to you guys before, and I'll say it again. 27 outs. I'm not being biased. Like, even if I were not even somebody who watched the show, 27 outs would be a page that I would like to follow because that's where I find out almost every single thing. Sometimes you might see it slightly after you may have seen it elsewhere, but in certain cases, sometimes I've seen things there on the 27 ounce Instagram page for the very first time. So make sure you guys are following the page, and of course, subscribe to the YouTube, like, comment at you guys as you guys have already been doing so. We're paying attention, man. We of course right now it's still early. We were talking about it earlier in today's show that we've already been doing this for a month. We're eight episodes in, but listen, man, there's gonna come a time when we won't be able to show every comment. We won't be able to respond to every comment. Like we could already see it before it happens, and I'm sure you guys can too.
I think that's well said. I don't even need to add on to it. He said everything that I would want to say. So,
all right, last segment here: underachieving and overachieving teams. This is going to be an interesting one, man. It really is. It really is, and I think you guys are also going to enjoy this too, because there's a lot to unfold. Because we're talking about the good, the bad, and might as well say the ugly as well, right? It only makes sense. And the ugly. Where do we begin here? Honestly, I want to know, where do we begin? Because we've covered some teams who have gotten off to good starts. We've talked about the Yankees. We've talked about the Pirates on last week's show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that segment. But yeah, where do we start here? We starting with good, the bad.
Nah, you know me.
The hideous.
I'm starting with the straight up disgusted.
All right. There we go.
Somebody go get the Houston Astros and tell them the season started. Yo, the season has started, dog. What? I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna be that guy. I don't care. We 17 games in. They ain't recovering this from this. The season. They're gonna be streaming up. They're gonna be swimming upstream all year. As far as I'm concerned, their season's already over. You're 5-12 or 4 and whatever their record is now.
Right.
The last team to have a 4-12 record and make the playoffs was, I think, I read a stat where it was like 2007. Nah. You got to deal with Texas. You got to deal with them boys down in. Listen, I think they're done.
So honestly, are you saying that they should no longer worry about the division and only worried about a wild card spot at this point?
At this point, yeah.
Wow.
Listen, I don't even think you worry about any spot until you get back to playing humanized baseball.
Right.
Like, listen, and a part of it is their injuries. Let's not forget that. You got a bunch of guys hurt. Jose Akiti, Lance McCullers, Justin Verlander. They're all dealing with something. But
a lot of pitchers.
Like, to think that Justin's just going to walk through the door and he's going to be the Justin Verlander 3 years ago is crazy. It's not happening. When's the last time Lance McCullers Jr. pitched a full season? I'm asking y'all. Honest question. Not even trying to be funny. When's the last time you've seen Lance McCullers and specifically, you remember a guy, there wasn't a guy but named by the guy, Forrest Whitley. He was the number 1 prospect at one point. He was a pitching prospect. This dude can't get on the mound. So I'm like, okay, if you're dealing with, pitching issues, you're dealing with all types of injuries already to the starting rotation, and To think that they had the opportunity to sign Blake Snell and they didn't do it because they felt like we didn't want to meet his asking price and we feel pretty good about the pitching we got. To know that you're probably going to be without at least 3/5 of your starting rotation for at least the first 3.5 to 4 months of the regular season, that's you need pitching to win in this league, bro. I don't care if you scored 8 runs a game. They lost a game 12-8 the other night. They scored 8 runs and they still lost by 4. You know what I'm saying? Like it's different, man. And KC's coming. Teams like KC, teams like the Tigers, all these young teams that they're not doing nothing. All right. These young teams are coming because they're like, oh, Houston's human. Nah, we out of here, dog. They feel human, and I'm not dismissing how good they can be. We already know how special they can be if they're healthy. But to me, and this is why I told you, remember I told you, I said to you, yo, early on, a couple shows ago, I said to you, yo, I think it's done for them. I think they're done because you can't keep climbing up the mountain. Your body's officially, at some point, your body's just gonna be like, yo, bro, I can't do this no more.
Yeah, I remember exactly what you're talking about. You were basically calling them the Warriors of baseball.
The Warriors, the Bulls in the 90s. At some point, the body's gonna be like, I gotta tap out. I'm done. This was fun while it lasted. We had a blast, but at some point, you gotta know when it's time to hold them and fold them, as the great Kenny Rogers once said.
See, as much as what you're saying makes sense, Stefan, because I gotta be honest, there's not much. In fact, there's nothing that I disagree with. When I heard everything that you said, but
not what I said. Go look at the record. What's their record right now?
No. I'm saying there's nothing that I disagree with. Like I totally agree with everything that you said. My point is, though, they have made it to, I think, about 6 or 7 straight American League Championship Series. And I get it. It means a lot more when you win the World Series, which they've done twice throughout those years. But because they have been able to get that far for that long, I just can't count them out just yet. Do I agree with you in terms of them not really having a shot in the division? Yes, I think the Rangers and I also think the Mariners are better off in the American League West. And at this point, probably have a better shot. Because, like you said, Stefan, the Astros right now are down looking up rather than being up top looking down, which is what they did and were known for doing for so long. But I can't say just yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if come July, come August, they look better, but still don't look like the Astros that we all know. And that's when it would make more sense to me later in the year.
I feel that. Staying on the disappointing side, I'm disappointed in Seattle a little bit. I haven't gotten off to the start that I expected them to get off to. The pitching is what's really letting them down. And honestly, they're not pitching to their capabilities. Like, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Cubs this weekend. Luis Castillo, he didn't pitch bad, but he didn't pitch well enough to win, if that makes sense. I think he went 6 innings. Do me a favor, check Luis Castillo's first 4 starts, Ivan, for us real quick. Because I feel like that staff collectively, they haven't been great, but they haven't been bad, right? So let's go to, I have something pulled up here.
Luis Castillo right now, he is 0-4 with a ERA of nearly 6.
Wow. All right.
Yep.
So let's look at this right now. The Seattle Mariners are ranked 20th in pitching in the big leagues. As a team, they have a 4.36 ERA. That like, when you look at the Mariners, you're like, damn, dog, there's no way your pitching is that bad. And you see what they have, that's kind of crazy, bro. If you sit there and look at how good Seattle can be, you're like, there's no way that it's that crazy, bro. But you look at it, I'm gonna pull it up right here so we can see, right? I'm gonna pull it up right here so we can see, because I looked at this just now and it just took my breath away. All right, so let's put this thing up. Seattle Mariners, they're 20th, 4.36 And it's just like, yo, wow. I'd think that they would be this bad. Luis Castillo, you said what, he's at 0-4 with ERA near 6?
Yeah. Hmm.
Wow. And what is the like? I know he's 0-4, so the rest of that staff ain't much. They have to be doing not that much better, if not worse, right? So,
Right.
because look at all right. So I just want to make this point real quick. So look at all these teams that are contending, right? We're gonna scroll up. Boston's that surprises me a little bit because the one thing we talked about was their pitching was gonna be a problem, right? But these other teams don't surprise me. Like the Yankees being second, that doesn't surprise me because their pitching's been decent to start the year. The Royals, they've pitched to start the year, right? But like you look at a team like Seattle with all that talent, you're like, damn, dog.
Right.
There's no way that they're this bad. That there's just no way. What do you think about that as I pull these numbers up and you see it for yourself?
No, I agree with you. I certainly didn't think that with the starting rotation that they have, their ERA would be where it's at right now. And it would surprise me if they were to sort of stay around that for a majority of the season. Because looking at the teams ahead of them, I think they certainly have a better rotation than the Mets. I think they have a better rotation than the A's. I would say they have a better rotation on paper, damn near better than, if not half, than most of the teams who are on this list that we're looking at right here. And it's unfortunate that they haven't really been able to put it together, but with the ceiling that I think the starting rotation is capable of reaching, and rightfully so with the guys that they have on that team, I'm hoping that this is something that starts to trend in the other direction because the way things are looking right now, and I get it, we're only a couple of weeks into the season, but the Mariners can't be doing that, man, when you got teams like the Astros and the Rangers in that same division who are looking to make things even harder for you.
And then if you're trying to get a wild card spot, you got teams like Baltimore, Tampa, the Yankees, like all these teams are out for blood, man. You can't be taking series off and losing 2 out of 3 and not bringing your best effort to the field. So, if I'm them, I'm a little bit worried about some things, and I think they got to tighten up some things. But on the positive, we just saw the Royals pitching staff. Yo, the Royals, I know they lost 2 out of 3 to the Mets this weekend. Great games, by the way. Great game yesterday. They won 11-7, and then today they lost the pitchers due 2-1 on that good day. So how appropriate is that? Shout out to the good doctor for getting 16 retired. You deserve it. Long
Took them
overdue,
long
by the way.
enough.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
overdue.
Should have
But
been done a long time ago.
yeah, we're not gonna get into a soapbox on what the Mets should and should not do because we'll be here another hour, and I don't really want to do that. The Kansas City Royals, them boys, them boys. I think they're here to stay, man. I think they're here to stay. I look at that lineup: Bobby Witt, Vincent Pasquantino. I think Salvi's gonna be okay. I like the pitching. Like them boys. They got some players here now. They got some players. You got the kid Franco. They're here to stay, I believe. So
Yeah, that slide, I know, just to mention it quickly, that slide, listen, man, I don't care how big you are, I don't care how much you train, I don't care how muscular your legs you think they may be. Um, Anybody comes into you the way Starla Marte went into Salvador Perez at the plate, it's gonna hurt. It's definitely gonna hurt.
nah, yeah, and I'm surprised he even walked off the field, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm like, yo, hold on, bro.
Right.
How did you walk off the field?
And
How you not?
listen, it was fair. It was fair game. With
Nah,
Starla
it was
Marte was
clean.
absolutely, yeah, there was nothing wrong with it. And I know Royals fans are probably pissed off, like, oh, you trying to take out our guy? Listen, it's just how things actually happen sometimes when you go about it the right way, which in this case, that's what happened.
Yeah, but like, nah, the future's bright for them boys in KC. I think we need to start looking at these dudes as some um, serious. I wouldn't say World Series contenders yet, but they're gonna scare somebody in the playoffs. With as good as that offense can be, you got MJ Melendez, we talk about Bobby Witt all the time. I feel like we Bobby Witt Jr. and friggin' I feel like we stand to the Royals and we not even anywhere near KC. MJ Melendez, They got some players on this team, man. So as we just scroll down this list, you see that there's some dogs. I mean, and so listen, if I'm a Royal fan right now, am I printing playoff tickets just yet? Probably not. But am I excited for what the future holds with Bobby Wood Jr., MJ Melendez, Michael, with Vinny Pasquantino and all the talent we got out here? Listen, Hunter Renfro's a beast, right? Like, we forget how crazy powerful Hunter Renfro is because he's played in Anaheim.
Great power bat.
He's played in San Diego. He's played in obscure places where if you don't really know the game, you're probably not going to know who that is. So
I got a question for you. If I think I know your answer, but I still just want to hear you say it, and of course to get you to share it with everybody on the show tonight. But Salvador Perez, I feel like he's been with the Royals for a very long time, right? And we're already looking at how good the Royals are. If you're the Royals, are you looking to hold on to Salvador Perez to kind of like keep him as the vet, the guy who's been here, done that, the guy who has won a World Series before? Or do you think the Royals may get to a point where they might need a guy like a Salvador Perez to be moved in order to really get over the hump? What do you think?
So I would keep him because I believe that catcher is the most valuable position on the field. And when you got a guy like a quarterback that can lead the entire field, not only is he the emotional leader, he's the captain. They gave him the C. They put the C on his chest. You're not just moving the captain just to say we're moving the captain. When Salvador Perez is done, it's like Yadier Molina. He's retiring the Royal. He's going to be there forever, and that's just the way it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think there's any deal that you put in front of the Royals where trading Salvador Perez makes sense, just not only from a baseball standpoint, but from a monetary standpoint. In a city like in a city like Kansas City, who doesn't make that much money, they're not high on the totem pole in terms of revenue. When you got a homegrown star that is this good and that re-signed with you guys and said, I want to rock with y'all, you don't trade that dude. You know what I mean? You treat him like Tim Duncan. He got you a chip. You treat him like Dirk. You treat him like the Yankees did Derek. You treat him like the Lakers did Kobe. I can keep going. You know where I'm going with this, right?
Of course.
Forever Royal. Nah, I ain't trading him. No, I ain't trading him. If I'm a Royal
play devil's advocate real quick, I was gonna say, well, what do you say to the fans who say that, oh, well, that was 9 years ago. Why are we still holding on to it?
Okay, so if you play devil's advocate,
I agree with you, by the way. I was just saying that. Man, you got a lot of trolls in this world. You have a lot of people who they want to think differently on purpose, just to kind of fuck with you. So I just had to throw it out there.
Listen, you talking to King think different. I'm King think different. I think differently. I'm ready to trade half the roster if listen, what I told you about the Braves. The Braves to me got 2 years and then I'm hitting a detonator button.
Yeah, by the way, that Spencer Strider thing, that injury is not a good sign.
No.
You lost your best pitcher.
No.
Literally.
Not at all. Speaking of not good signs, there's a short one this week, bro. We ain't got nothing left. I'm tapped. You tapped. We all tapped. Let's tap together. This was fun.
Let's get some of these comments up before we go.
Man.
Let's see. Pete Rose put out a clip saying he should have used an interpreter. Trying to throw shade. Phillies are underwhelming.
Huh?
Houston is cheeks. Rick says, I'm not doing that with the Astros. Leave it to them to come back and make the playoffs. Right. That's what I was saying. But at the same time, like, I am agreeing with what Stefan said earlier, and it sounds like you are too, Rick. But it's kind of too early to believe in that completely.
I mean, well,
it's hard to trust Seattle year in, year out.
At some point, listen, I'll make this point, 2 points real quick, just to respond to 2 comments. Bro, they're going to score tons of runs. Josh Hader can't start for them. Josh Hader's pitching 1 inning. If they make the playoffs, I will be floored. And to answer your Seattle question, listen, at some point, Jerry DiPoto is going to have to make a decision. or they might have to make a decision on him. Yo, do we just fire this dude and start from scratch? Like, that might be the thing that they ultimately do. Who knows? But I agree with Joe. Houston is definitely basura right now. I'm not gonna say cheeks because that's disrespectful, but they're not looking too good right now.
And we know what he meant by cheeks, man. That means the Astros are straight up ass.
Word. Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like Ivan said, follow us on Instagram at 27 Outs 3C and at YouTube on YouTube at 27 Outs 3 Clips. Share the channel with friends, family, people you know that love baseball. Tell them we here. Yo, bonus clip coming soon. But like the great Martin Lawrence once said, we ain't got to go home, but we got to get the hell up out of here.